So today we're talking about being an empath and gaining skills as an empath. And I want to welcome those of you that are here in the chat with me that are watching the live stream. And I think I'll get started and then we'll just welcome new people as they come. But I wanted to talk about this because this is a question that I get a lot, and this is something that I work with my clients all the time and have done for many years, is what it means to be an empath if you are one, and then what do you do about it? Because you might discover that being an empath can be kind of a big challenge, and it really can be if you don't really know what it is and know how to help yourself with it. So welcome those of you that are joining. Drop your location in the chat. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what the weather is like where you are. You need to learn how to shield yourself from everyone's emotions. I'm so glad you're here. We're going to talk about that. Yes, we are. So there are a lot of different kinds of empaths. There are emotional empaths like you are there. Let's see, Melina. You are an emotional empath, which means that you pick up on other people's emotions. So you feel like you're carrying that energy of other people around with you all the time, which is real frustrating and it's difficult. It also can really affect your emotional health, especially if you don't know that you're picking up other people's emotions. You might kind of feel like, some emotional empaths feel like they're going crazy because they feel all of this really intense stuff and they don't know why. So we're going to talk about what to do about that, how to help yourself with that. There are also physical empaths. So I'm an emotional empath and a physical empath. So physical empaths feel physically what other people feel in their physical body, and if you're like me, in their energy body. So I read people's energy bodies and heal them with all kinds of vibrational healing techniques that I have learned over the years, because I can feel what's going on in your energy body. Sometimes your heart chakra might just leap out at me like, I need some help. You need to learn not to stress about stuff. Yes. We're going to talk about that, definitely. But physical empaths often feel other people's physical pain. So if you're with someone who has a headache, you pick up a headache. You're not really having a headache, but you feel like you are because you feel theirs. Somebody has an upset stomach, you might have an upset stomach. If you're with someone who has a major injury, they broke their leg, your leg may hurt. And that might seem weird. You might not feel like you can tell anybody about that. Because it feels strange. Welcome. No practice needed. Welcome. Tell us where you're from. You might not dare tell anybody. I feel like I feel other people's emotions. I feel like I feel other people's physical pain. Trust me, I get it. It feels weird. It feels like maybe you're, losing your mind, which you're not. You're definitely not. This is a very real thing. It's been documented to be a very real phenomenon. Hey, don't forget to tap the center of that screen for me. If you do that, you'll see a meter under my name, and when that meter fills up, then it means that I show up on more For You pages. So if you like what you're hearing, help me out with that and tap that screen a bunch and try and help get more people here to listen. I'm pretty new to TikTok. So another kind of empath is called a mirror empath. And mirror empaths just mirror everything that other people are feeling. So not just as an emotional empath or a physical empath, but literally to take it on. So mirror empaths have a difficult time maintaining their own identities. They start just feeling like that other person. They start acting like that other person. They start talking like that other person. They just mirror other people. And in mirroring other people, they do not really maintain their own identity. And so whoever they're with, whoever they're in a relationship with, or they live with, or, whoever their significant relationships are, they begin to just lose their identities to that person. And it's generally to a person that you have feelings about, that you want them to like you, you want them to know you, you want them to want you in their life. Welcome. If you're just joining, please let us know where you're from and tell us what the weather's like where you are. We're talking about being an empath. So that's what it means to be a mirror empath. You just kind of take on the identity of other people. It's really, really challenging. But there are things that you can do to help you with that. Welcome. We must be better. Northeast Mississippi, and it's raining. You guys, it's raining. Everybody that said what the weather is like where they are says it's raining, and in lots of different places, not even all in the same country. I am in Idaho in the U.S., and it's pouring here. So very interesting that so many places so far apart are getting kind of the same weather. I like all the stuff my wife likes. I just lost myself. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's mirror empath. That's exactly what I'm talking about here is you lose yourself because you want the other person to be happy so much that you just take on whatever they like, whatever is important to them in order to keep them in your life. And that's mirroring someone. And the thing is, you don't have to do that in order to have a good relationship. Actually, you'll have a much better relationship if you maintain your own interests and your own likes and your own opinions and can genuinely be yourself. But we're going to talk about, if you feel like you are a mirror empath, what you can do about that, because it's very challenging, but it is possible to get yourself back from a situation like that. So we're going to talk about those three types of empaths, and some of the things I'm going to talk about will apply to all three of those types, and some of them will be individual. So we'll talk about it a little bit. So the first step, and this is universal for all empaths, when you begin to feel something that maybe feels foreign or overwhelming, whether it's physical or emotional, or you just begin to mirror what someone else is feeling, whether you actually feel that way or not, your first question is this mine? Is this mine? So you have to start identifying. If you're an emotional empath and you start feeling anxious, you stop and you give yourself a reality check. You look around your life, you look around your physical location, you look around, in yourself, your emotional state, and you ask yourself, am I really feeling this? Does this pertain to me? And if it's just out of the blue, then no, it does not pertain to you. So you can identify, okay, I feel this, but it's not me. Then you might try identifying who it is. If you're at work, for example, because this is where a lot of emotional and physical empathy can become a problem. If you are at work, you look at your situation around you and you start identifying people around you. Who am I picking up? Who's actually anxious today? And you can probably figure it out based on people's behavior and what they have to say and, whatever's going on with them during the day. Frequently, you will be able to tell, oh, that's so-and-so. Okay. And here's the thing. Once you identify that it's not yours, this magical thing happens where you just don't really feel it anymore. But you have to go through the process to identify that. Welcome to those of you who are joining. We're talking about being an empath and what that means for you and how to help yourself with it. So when you identify that, basically what you're doing is you're giving it back to the other person. Like, hey, this isn't mine, this is theirs. I'm going to pass that along and allow that to be their issue. Now, one thing as an emotional empath you have to be super careful about is that even when you figure it out that it is not your issue, you might feel like you then got to go solve it. Like, oh, they're feeling anxious. I need to go help them, see what's going on. No, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not your problem to solve. And it can feel that way. When you're an empath and you feel other people's emotions, we easily make that leap. Thanks. I like my haircut too. We can make that leap to, I feel it, so it means I'm supposed to fix it. It is not true. That is a fallacy that we as empaths tell ourselves on a daily basis. Now, you can be supportive and kind, and if they ask for help, of course, offer it. However, do not feel responsible for it. You're not. You are, as an emotional empath, it's like you are an antenna for other people's feelings. So you're picking them up like as though you were an emotional radio. Okay, you're picking them up, you know what they are. Now, let me tell you the next step that's super important to know. The reason that you pick them up is just because you're super sensitive. It's not because you're meant to solve everyone else's problems. It's because your antenna is turned way up, okay? It's also because that information is useful to you. So think about it for a minute. If you have that information about someone in your life, that may help you make decisions based on the things that you want to do or the things that you need. It also, if it is a person that is close to you, a spouse or a child, does mean that you have information that you can go and be an assistance to them. But a lot of times out in the world, it really is just information for you. Like, oh, hey, my boss feels really, really tense right now. I don't think I'm going to ask for my raise today. See what I mean? Doesn't mean you have to go solve the boss's tension. Thank you for liking my videos. I really appreciate that. But it doesn't mean you have to solve it. It just means you have to be aware of it. So like, hey, this is not the day to go to my boss and say, look, I'm really frustrated with this or that. No, they're not going to receive it well. I feel like I deserve a raise. They're not going to receive it well. You want to wait until you feel from them. That's a really rude question. Bend over. How much do you weigh? So you don't want to get sidetracked with this, that it's yours to solve. It's actually information for you to use. Really, really awesome information that you can use. So I want to encourage you as an emotional empath. And remember, you can be more than one kind. You don't have to just be one kind. You can be more than, you can be multiple. And that is, like me, I am multiple kinds of empath. That's why I do the work that I do. That's why I work with people as a master energy healer. That's why I teach about being an empath, is because I've had a lot of experience with it. But emotional empaths and physical empaths particularly, I want you to remember that when you start feeling something, like if you're a physical empath, your stomach starts hurting. Is there a legitimate reason for your stomach to hurt? If the answer is no, if your stomach hasn't been hurting, you've been feeling fine, then feel around for other people around you. What are they feeling? Maybe you're picking up your child's stomach ache. And if you are, just acknowledge it. This is not me. This is them. This is theirs to deal with. And if it's your kid, of course, you help them. But if it's not your kid, you don't. Unless they say, hey, do you have any Pepto-Bismol on you? Whatever. But you're not responsible for those feelings. It's just information that you are given. Welcome. If you're new, please just drop where you're from and what the weather's like where you are. I'm here in Idaho, and it's rainy and cold, which is super weird for us. Okay, so that's the first step, and that is a step that takes a significant amount of practice. Identifying things that maybe aren't yours, and then asking yourself clearly, is this mine? And identifying if it is in fact yours or if it belongs to someone else. That is the most important step you can take as an empath, is recognizing, hey, I'm an empath. Sometimes I feel other people's stuff. That's okay. And putting that information into your conscious mind every single time, asking yourself. And it takes practice. It's not going to just be easy the first time around. It isn't. You're used to reacting to these things as though they are yours. And that's important, that you just identify that and recognize that it's okay to acknowledge that this isn't mine. I don't have to deal with it. It really is. And empaths live in the land of guilt, right? We always feel guilty because we feel all this stuff, and should we be fixing it? And we know what other people's problems are because we feel them, and should we have to solve those problems? That kind of thing. Um, no, you don't. Being an empath is just a skill you were born with. You have a super, super sensitive antenna. Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk about mirror empaths for a minute before we go forward. So mirror empaths are a little bit different. So the first step for you is asking yourself if you're mirroring. Am I mirroring somebody else? We had a comment in the chat. Hi, I'm talking about being an empath. Welcome to the chat. I'm talking about being an empath and what that means and how you can handle it. So if you feel like you might feel other people's emotions pretty strongly, or other people's physical pain, or you might kind of take on other people's personalities as your own, then that makes you an empath. Hey, Flowertown Daycare, welcome. Welcome, Titans. Yeah, that's what we're talking about today. So if you tend to mirror other people, so that means that you kind of struggle with having your own identity, and you mirror other people with what they like and what they want, and you just go along with everything, and you basically just turn yourself into another version of them. This can happen in personal relationships, like with family members, with a spouse. This can happen with a friend. And some people just do it with everybody they meet. They just sort of become them for a moment. And they have trouble identifying their own identity, what they want, what they care about, who they are. So if you are a mirror, if this is sounding like you and you are mirroring other people, you have to start really asking yourself some questions like, in this moment, am I being true to what I want and how I feel? Or am I mirroring the other person? And so you have to make it a conscious thing, because mirroring is unconscious. We don't always realize that we're doing it. But if you have a tendency, if you've ever noticed, or anyone else has ever told you, you're just like a chameleon. You become other people. Like, who are you really? Have you ever had anybody say something like that to you? Really, being called a chameleon is very common for mirror empaths, because that's really what you are in some ways. And it's unintentional. It's most definitely unintentional. But it is something that you can change, because when you're a mirror empath, you lose your identity, or maybe you never even developed it to begin with. So your first question, and this is going to take a lot of practice as a mirror, is, am I mirroring this? So when someone says, oh yeah, I love football, I love the Seattle Seahawks, and you say, oh yeah, me too, you got to ask yourself, is that actually true? Or are you just going along with them? Are you mirroring them? Do you actually like the Seattle Seahawks? Or do you not? Doesn't matter. The question is, are you just going along with that person? Are you mirroring them? Okay, that's a simple answer, simple question, but it is something that you can learn over time to identify and really work toward changing. And in your mind, not only do you identify, yes, I am mirroring, you also have to identify for yourself, not only am I mirroring, but I actually like the San Francisco 49ers. So you identify, no, that's not true. And this is what is true. Because it is a lot about not being honest with yourself when you're a mirror. And being a mirror empath is challenging, and it takes a long time to change it, but it is entirely possible to change that. And that's work I love to do, because I love to see your own identity come out. But a lot of times you have to ask yourself on a very regular basis, wait a minute, is this actually what I want? Is this actually what I like? Or am I just saying it because they like it? That's being a mirror. You're just mirroring other people. And when you stop mirroring, you often have to ask yourself, Okay, if I don't like that, what do I like? Maybe as a mirror, it's been a while since you asked yourself that question. So I want to encourage you, if you are a mirror, to be gentle with yourself in this situation. And hi, welcome to those of you that are joining. We're talking about being an empath and what that means and what you can do about it to make it better for you, how you can use it as a positive. So, mirrors, be kind to yourself because it takes time to recover from being a mirror empath and get your identity back. It really does. And it's not something that you can fix overnight. And it's something that over time is going to get way better for you, but it just takes a lot of practice and a lot of taking care of you and being kind to yourself and recognizing, man, I was mirroring and I didn't even stop myself. It's okay. It's okay. You know now that you are a mirror empath. That's a huge step in the right direction, you know? When you know that you're a mirror empath, you can identify when you're mirroring. If you don't even know that's what you are, what you're doing, you know? So knowing it is like half the battle because then you catch yourself. And maybe you don't catch yourself every time, but that's okay. You're working on it. You're working toward changing it. And that is really what matters. Okay? Super important. So I want to talk to physical empaths for a minute. So if you are a physical empath, that means you feel other people's pain. Pick up on people's headaches, stomach aches. If somebody gets hurt, you feel it in your body. You may not realize anybody as an empath that is just learning about being an empath. You might not actually realize that other people don't actually feel the same way. Did you know that not everyone is an empath? Like, we all have the capacity to have empathy, but to be an empath and literally feel what other people feel is not something that, it's not a skill that everyone has. And that is going to come as a surprise to some people. It came as a surprise to me when I was first learning about what it meant to be an empath. I didn't realize that that other people didn't always feel this. I just assumed. So that's something that's important to know as any kind of an empath. But physical empaths, particularly, sometimes you get called hypochondriacs. Sometimes you might go to the doctor because you feel something that someone else felt, and they tell you there's nothing wrong with you. And it's true that physically there probably isn't, but on the energy plane, you've probably got something hanging out that's making you feel that. Like, for example, if you feel someone else's pain from an injury and it persists beyond the original development, how do you know if you're an empath? Welcome, Justina, because recently I've been thinking I am. So, Justina, do you feel other people's emotions? Do you feel other people's physical pain? Or do you feel like you sort of mirror what other people, like mirror other people? Like if they say they like pizza, no, let's not do pizza. Everybody likes pizza. If they say they like a certain kind of beer, for example, and you don't like that beer, but you say that you do because you're mirroring them, because you want them to like you. You want them to feel connected to you, so you feel like you have to be the same as them. That's being a mirror empath, if you feel that strong need to do that. So, Justina, answer those questions for yourself. And if, generally, if you are wondering if you're an empath, it's because you are, because you've heard some things about being an empath, and you want to just identify it, because now you know. If you think you are, you probably are. Okay. So ask yourself those questions and let us know what's the answer that helped. Good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. So we're talking today about how to manage being an empath, not so much as, well, definitely if you are one, but also how to manage it. So the first step, as we've talked about, is ask, is this mine? is this someone else's? And identify consciously if what I'm feeling is me or if it's somebody else. First step, really important. Now, what are we going to do about it? One of the things I get asked all the time is, how do I shield myself? How do I protect myself from this stuff? Well, in my 25 years of practice as a physical and emotional empath, I'm going to tell you a tough answer, and that's that you can't. You can't actually shield yourself because this is just intrinsically who you are. Okay? So, what does that mean? That means that there are other means to solve this problem. Protecting yourself isn't really the answer. Because the truth is, if you are an empath, use that information. Use that information for your best good, for the best good of your loved ones, you know? Use that information to help you in your life. But let's talk about how to, and this is for physical and emotional empaths. What are you going to do if you've picked up a bunch of stuff from people? If you are feeling all of their emotions from everybody at work today, somebody had a headache and you can't get rid of it now, those are the things that we struggle with the most as empaths. So I'm going to teach you a little skill. It's called Clear Your Bubble. This is a video on my channel. So if you want to go back and do it again, you can, because I've already recorded it over there on my channel. So be sure to follow me so that you can see the skills that I teach over there on my channel. But let's do it together. This is called Clear Your Bubble, and this is going to help everybody, but particularly physical and emotional empaths, because we're going to release the energy that you're carrying in your energy body, or your bubble, which is that layer of your energy body that is at arm's length. It's all the way around us. It's supposed to be our energy. It's supposed to be the boundary between us and the rest of the world. But for empaths, it's more like a sponge. So we just suck it up, fill it up with other people's physical and emotional energy. And that's where we can feel really, really stuck and feel like we can never get away from it. And so this is a skill that, as a physical and emotional empath, if you'll do it every day, you just release the stuff you picked up. That's a much more effective way to deal with being an empath than trying to protect yourself. Because protection doesn't really work when this is just intrinsically who you are. We can't change that. So let's do Clear Your Bubble. So just close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths. Now just bring your attention to your bubble, which is the layer of energy around you that goes out to arm's length. I want you to just observe that bubble in your mind's eye. Feel it. You don't have to see it. You can feel it. And just identify things in there that don't belong to you. Do you feel some pain in there that isn't yours? Some anxiety, some anger, some sadness? Do you feel somebody's depression in there that doesn't belong to you? Stomach ache, whatever it is, just acknowledge it for a moment. So now we're going to clear that bubble. We're going to release all the energy that's in there, and then we're going to fill it back up with your own energy, which is what's supposed to be there. So I want you to visualize screwing a hose to the outside of your bubble down at the bottom. And now, just with your intention, you're going to open up a vortex of white light in the earth. And that vortex of white light is a place where we put energy that is unwanted, negative, low vibrating, no longer needed, whatever words you want to call it. And that energy will be transmuted into light in all directions of time, and you will be released from it. And it will just become light, so no one else will pick it up either. That's an important part of this. So drop the other end of the garden hose into the vortex of white light, and then just watch as the energy is drained from your bubble. It's draining down into the vortex of white light, being transmuted into light and releasing you from all of this energy in all directions of time. Okay, now just unscrew the garden hose. let's fill your bubble back up with the energy of you, because that's what should be in your bubble. And then it creates a bit of a boundary that'll last for a while. You'll pick up stuff again, but that's okay, because now you know how to release that. It's just a matter of clearing your bubble every day. So bring your attention to your heart. And just for a moment, observe what color is the energy in your heart. It doesn't matter. There are no rules here. Don't worry about what colors the heart chakra is supposed to be. Just whatever colors are here. Start pushing that energy out from your heart and let it fill up your bubble. I'm just going to let that fill all the way to the top with your energy, creating space between you and other people. And that's really, as empaths, what we need, because we feel other people so acutely. We need space. We need energetic space. And this is how we get it, is by doing this practice. Okay, when your bubble is full, just open your eyes. And that is how you clear your bubble. So this is an action as an empath you can do every day. I encourage you to do it every single day. And especially if you work in a helping profession, if you work with other people, or you work in an office situation, when, whatever your situation is, however you are around people, that's when you're going to be picking up this energy. And you know it. If you're an empath, if this is resonating with you, then you know. If this is not resonating with you, then you probably aren't an empath, and this probably isn't anything that you have to deal with. And that's lucky for you in some ways, and kind of sad for you, because as empaths, we know things that other people don't know. It's just the reality of it. But as an empath, you can certainly learn to have some control over what you feel and what you do in situations where your empathy is at work. Sometimes you probably sort of feel your antenna turn on, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm feeling something's coming in. And when you can see it like that, and not as like, oh, these are my problems to solve, but rather you can see it sort of as a transmission of information that you can use, it's actually really useful to be an empath. You can help other people when you want to. If that's your job, if that's the work that you like to do, you can better understand them. I know I'm a social worker, and in working in mental health, being an empath was super, super helpful, because I could feel what other people were feeling, and that really helped me, because I worked with teenagers a lot, and they had a really hard time expressing how they felt. They couldn't get, they had trouble. They expressed more through their behavior than they did their words, I guess is what I'm saying. And it was so helpful to me, because I could sit down with them and say, okay, so I feel like you're feeling this, and it would be right, and they would go, how do you know that? And I would tell them that it was because of their behavior, but it was actually because I could feel it. So think about how that is useful in your life. As long as you don't take it on, as long as you don't expect to solve other people's problems, as long as you just recognize that when you are in a position to be helpful, to be supportive, whether it's your personal life or your job, you can be. And you kind of turn into the go-to person, because you seem to always know what to say. Have you ever been told that you just always know what to say? You always know how to make me feel better. Have you ever had anybody tell you that? That's probably because you're an empath, and so you're feeling what they're feeling. Yeah, okay. Just Fallon, welcome. Nice to have you here. And if you've ever had anybody tell you that, hey Kev, welcome. Nice to have you here. Then you're probably an empath, and you've been picking up on what they're feeling, and so you're responding to them in a way that is helpful to them, because it's like you know something that's going on inside of them. So, those are the two skills that I recommend for physical and emotional empaths to use on a very regular basis. First of all, ask, is this mine? Identify whether this is actually yours or not. Identify where it's coming from if you can. You know, sometimes you're in the grocery store and you don't know, but most of the time in places you will be able to identify whose anxiety is this. Okay, that's theirs. I'm going to leave that to them. If they ask me for help, I'll be here. But they don't, you don't have to get that. Um, and then to use the clear your bubble practice. Clear your bubble is one of my videos on my account here on TikTok. So if you need to do it again to remember how to do it, just go find that video. It's real short. It's just a 3-minute video, but it goes through the process so that you can remember how to do it. Do it every day. You will feel so much better. And this trying to shield and trying to protect that is always unsuccessful, will become something you don't really need to worry about, because you know you can just clear your bubble. You can do it more than once a day. If you pick up something and you're like, oh man, I do not want to carry this around, somebody that's been really upset or angry or something, do clear your bubble real quick and it'll release you from that energy. It will release that energy so you don't have to keep feeling it. So I want to talk one last thing with my mirror empaths. So if you are late joining, I just want to tell you, mirror empaths are empaths that literally take on other people's personalities. Like you just, if somebody likes this, you like it too. If somebody wants to do that, you like it too. You want to do, but you're not being honest necessarily about how you feel, but it's because you feel so overwhelmed by what the other person feels that you just reflect it back to them. So I have a different practice for mirror empaths. And yeah, and if this part doesn't resonate with you, it's because you're not a mirror empath. You're probably just a physical or emotional or both empath. Mirror empaths are less common, but they do happen. So after you clear your bubble, so mirror empaths should always do clear your bubble and identify, is this mine? Do I really feel this way? Do I really like that restaurant? Or am I just saying that because this person wants that? Okay. You're mirroring their emotions. After you do clear your bubble, then in your mind's eye, build a wall of mirrors all the way around you that are reflecting out. So you're standing in the middle of a circle of mirrors, okay? And you can do this in your mind's eye. We all know how to imagine things. That's the same as intending it. But the reflective side should be out so that other people's stuff reflects back to them rather than to you, if that makes sense, okay? So start practicing reflecting out, allowing other people's stuff to reflect out back to them from the mirrors. And this gives you space to feel yourself, okay? And you might start being really surprised about things that you've just been going along with as a mirror empath, that you're like, wait a minute, I really don't want to do this, or I really hate that, or this restaurant sucks, or, it'll start with small things like that, and it will become much bigger things over time. Mirror empaths take on all kinds of things from the people that they are close to, beliefs, all kinds of emotions, all kinds of just desire, whatever a person wants, a mirror empath will just start complying with, even if it's not what they want. So when you start putting up your mirrors and reflecting back, people will be a little surprised. So you want to be aware of that it might take an adjustment for mirror empaths, family members and friends who are used to you just complying, going along all the time, to discover that you actually have your own opinions and they might be different than what you've been saying. There will be some fallout. So it takes some time and some practice to recognize that you have your own desires. You have things that you want. You have things that you feel that might be different from what you've been expressing when you've been mirroring. So practice clearing your bubble, putting up the mirrors so that you're reflecting other people's energy back to them to help protect you so that you can start identifying what you really want. Ah, just Fallon. Yep, middle of fallout right now. Okay, much love to you. That is a tough time, and I want you to just really take very good care of yourself during this time, and know that you'll get through it. And sometimes mirror empaths lose family members, lose friends, lose partners when they stop mirroring. But you know what you get back is yourself. And generally, it's worth that. If you're in a relationship that is really solid, you can probably get through it if your partner really understands what's happening. That you have been mirroring, or you can explain it however you want. You don't have to use my metaphysical words. If you want to use something differently that you've been going along with because you wanted them to be happy, that's another way to put it. And that you feel like you need to just be yourself now, and that you want to be more honest about how you feel. And yeah, there will be some fallout. That will work for some people and not for others. It can be pretty challenging, but in the long run, you get yourself back, your identity back. You can be true to who you are. It also helps you to identify when it starts to happen again with someone else, or with that same person again. And you can identify to yourself, I'm mirroring. This isn't actually what I want. I'm saying yes because that's what they want. I'm mirroring them. So it's so important to just keep working on it and be kind to yourself if you're a mirror, because this is a tough one. And it takes a lot of practice and time to adjust. Fallon, yes, it's just so hard. I feel alone. And yes, so much happier with my boundaries. Good. I'm glad. And yes, it feels lonely, but you know you've done the right thing for yourself. And that's what matters. That's what's really, really important, is that you have done what is right for you. I've worked with many mirror empaths over the years in private sessions to maintain the boundaries, to work on the energy damage that's been done in the past, and to move forward, in a positive way and start rebuilding your life. And it's wonderful to watch. I love watching this happen because I know, Fallon, for you, that's what's going to happen. Your life is going to build back up positively. So I really, I just honor you for the work that you're doing, because that is a big challenge, but the reward is also very big. Okay, well, you guys, that is everything I have for today. I want to thank you all for joining me. Don't forget to follow. I will be doing an empath live stream every week, and then I do some other vibrational healing kinds of things as well. But check out my other videos. Be sure to check out the Clear Your Bubble video, because this is one that will help you very much in working toward, your challenges as an empath. And if I can be of help to you, please let me know, and I will be back again in a few days with another live stream. And thanks so much for being here, you guys. I really appreciate it. Much love.